and thank you for joining us on the news at dawn on Premier FM 93.5. First, the headlines. President Tinubu directs MDAs to paperless. Governor Makinde signs executive order to strengthen security. INEC chairman presents voter register to parties in Ekiti ahead of polls. What happened this day in history? Find out in our Lest We Forget segment. Heart of the matter is on curbing the spread of meningitis. You can track us on www.radionigeriaibadan.gov.ng, X on Instagram at PFM935. You can watch us live on Facebook, Premier FM 93.5 Ibadan. I am Adeyemi Hamzat. Now the news in detail. President Bola Tinubu has directed all ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, to fully embrace technology-driven processes, digitize their workflows, and transition to paperless governance. President Tinubu gave the directive in Abuja at the opening ceremony of the 2026 International Civil Service Conference. The president noted that 38 ministries and extra-ministerial departments had already migrated to a secure paperless workflow system. He said the Federal Civil Service was undergoing a major digital transformation aimed at eliminating bureaucratic delays, improving transparency, and enhancing service delivery. Represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation SGF, Senator George Akume, the President noted that the reforms under his administration's renewed hope agenda were already producing measurable outcomes. The President declared that the era of manual inefficiency in government operations must give way to an easier, faster, more accountable, and technology-driven public service. To tighten security in Oyo State, Governor Seyi Makinde has signed Executive Order No. 001 of 2026 to regulate, register, and coordinate associations, groups, and organizations providing security and allied services across Oyo State. The executive order, signed at his residence in Ibadan, comes amid ongoing efforts to rescue students and teachers recently abducted in Orure local government area. The governor noted that the order was a further step in his administration's commitment to protecting lives and property. He stressed that while security is a collective duty, the growing sophistication of insecurity demands clearer coordination and accountability. Governor Makinde, who reveals that his government was working with stakeholders to secure safe release of abductees, urged residents to avoid actions that could spark ethnic tension, warning against ethnic profiling and confrontation under the guise of security work. Earlier, Commissioner for Justice, Mr. Abiodun Aikomo, explained that the order targets groups with manpower strength of more than 5 people offering security services in any parts of the state. Mr. Aikomo said the measure was to prevent unintended consequences that arise when unregulated groups take on security roles, noting that existing groups had 72 hours to notify the government for documentation and certified. Meanwhile, children in Oko Town stayed away from their schools yesterday following Tuesday's rumor that bandits were planning to attack schools in the town and other neighboring communities. With a Nigeria reporter who visited some schools within the town observed that there was no presence of either their teachers or students in all the schools within Oko Town. It was gathered that most of the parents did not allow their children to go to school. Various roads were equally deserted as only few vehicles and commercial motorcyclists were seen on the roads. It was also observed that security agents were present on major roads, particularly Oko, Ejigbo, stopping and searching of few vehicles plying various routes. Recall that police spokesperson Oyo State Command, Mr. Olayinka Ayonlade, during an interview with Radio Nigeria, advised residents of Ogoilu and 8 neighboring communities to go about their lawful business activities without fear of threat from any quarter. It made it clear that more security personnel had been deployed across towns and villages in Surulere local government area to ensure protection of lives and property. You're on to the news at dawn on Premier FM 93.5 from the stable of Radio Nigeria. Stay with us. Thank you for being there with us this day in 2021. Chief of Army Staff General Ibrahim Matahiru and 10 others died in a plane crash in Kaduna 4 months after his appointment at the age of 55. And after the rest of the stories. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has presented the voter register to political parties taking part in the June 20 governorship election in Ekiti State, with a call on stakeholders to promote peaceful conduct before, during and after the exercise. INEC Chairman Professor Joash Amokuta presented the register during a stakeholders meeting held in Ado-Ekiti to assess the Commission's readiness for the election. Professor Amokuta said the voter register was important to the credibility of the election, adding that Section 9 of the Electoral Act requires INEC to present the register to political parties at least 30 days before the poll. It disclosed that while Ekiti State had over 900,000 registered voters during the 2023 general election, the continuous voter registration exercise added over 66,000 new voters, bringing the total number of registered voters in the state to 1,059,660. Earlier, the resident electoral commissioner in Ekiti State, Dr. Bumi Omoshendemi, said adequate security, logistics and beavers arrangement had been made for a hitch-free poll, while political parties participating in the election expected to sign a peace accord today. The All Progressives Congress APC Committee on Governorship and House of Assembly primaries in Oyo State has restated its readiness to conduct free, fair and credible governorship primary election held across the state today. The chairman of the committee, who is a former speaker, Ondo State House of Assembly, Mr. Olawale Abdulsalam, stated this while addressing newsmen at a news conference held at the APC State Secretariat, Okeado, Ibadan. Dr. Abdulsalam maintained that all the aspirants who obtained expression of interest and nomination forms would participate at the exercise, noting that all logistics had been put in place to ensure a rancor-free exercise. He enjoined all members of the party and all the aspirants to play the game according to the rule in the best interest of the party and benefit of all. Speaking on the House of Assembly primary election held across the state yesterday, the chairman of the committee said that the exercise went smoothly as 90 aspirants were cleared to participate. Mr. Abdulsalam stressed that only the national leadership of the party in Abuja had the authority to announce the results after collations, urging members to remain calm and await the announcement from the party's leadership. Security is everyone's business. Report any suspicious movement in your environment. Today's Heart of the Matter takes a look at curbing the spread of meningitis, as is written by Fauzia Kashim of our Current Affairs Unit.
Last week's confirmation of the death of 33 children following an outbreak of cerebrospinal meningitis in parts of Sokoto State shall be a wake-up call to concerned authorities and other stakeholders to prevent a reoccurrence of a disease that has become a recurrent decimal in the country. This is coming after a recent public health warning by the Nigerian Meteorological Agency (NIMET) to residents of some northern states about the heightened risk of the disease due to high temperatures, low humidity, and increased dust concentration. Meningitis has become an unwelcome seasonal visitor, which resurfaces almost every dry season, leaving behind a trail of avoidable death, overwhelmed health systems, and grieving communities, especially across the northern state. Meningitis is an acute inflammation of the protective organs and membranes with layers surrounding the brain and spinal cord. In most cases, the disease becomes intense and widespread during heat period and in areas where there is no ventilation. NIMET noted that groups such as children and young adults, people living in overcrowded settings, individuals exposed to dry, dusty environments, and persons with weakened immune systems are at higher risk to the infection. Experts identifies early symptoms as key to preventing fatalities while listing sudden high fever, severe headaches, neck stiffness, nausea or vomiting, and sensitivity to light as warning sign. Although states that will be affected by the disease include Sokoto, Zamfara, Kebbi, Katsina, Kano, among others, it is important for other states to be on red alert to avert other public health disaster. Experts have repeatedly warned that the country usually suffers meningitis around this time of the year when dry season is turning to raining season, especially in the area called the meningitis belt. To worsen matters, the disease spreads across the entire West African sub-region in the first quarter of every year. To reduce the risk of infection, NIMET encourages the public to get vaccinated, practice good hygiene, avoid overcrowding, and seek early medical care. Health facilities, especially primary health centers, should also be equipped enough to manage cases where secondary and tertiary health facilities are not available. Mass vaccination campaigns should be conducted proactively before the onset of the dry season, particularly in high-risk states, while routine immunization must also be strengthened to include border meningitis coverage. It is pertinent for government to make it mandatory for corps members posted to meningitis-prone areas to get vaccinated. Government at all levels and all critical stakeholders need to expedite collaborative actions on preventive measures. There is an urgent need for a public enlightenment campaign by the National Orientation Agency, NOAA, especially for people in the rural areas to be aware of the dangers the meningitis poses. There is also the need for a strategy that would help put an end to what has become an annual death sentence to many Nigerians. Addressing underlying social determinants like overcrowding, malnutrition, and poverty, which exacerbate vulnerability, is key to curbing the spread, while long-term solutions must include investments in housing, education, and economic empowerment.
The script in curbing the spread of meningitis was written by Fauzia Kashima of our Current Affairs Unit and read by Belinda Quadri. To end the news at dawn of Premier FM 93.5 from the stable of Radio Nigeria. The main items again. President Bola Tinubu has directed all ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, to fully embrace technology-driven processes, digitize their workflows and transition to paperless governance. To tighten security in Oyo State, Governor Seyi Makinde has signed Executive Order No. 001 of 2026 to regulate, register, and coordinate associations, groups, and organizations providing security and allied services across Oyo State. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has presented the voter register to political parties taking part in June 20 governorship election in Ekiti State. For any information, contact us on these numbers: 0802 334-5294 and 0803-242-9552. Or visit us at number 617 Jibobu Crescent, Yaganku Quarters, or Obadibingpe Road, Old Bagi Dube Baton. You can track us on www.radionigeriaibadan.gov.ng, X and Instagram at PFM935, and Facebook Premier FM 93.5 Ibadan. That ends the news at dawn, as edited by Blessing Okare and the production team. I am Adeyemi Hamzat. Thank you for listening and have yourself a thankful Thursday. Good morning.